Okay, a little small short video here to tell you what I use for a camera. This is a Kodak ZX5. It's what a lot of detectors use. They don't make them anymore, but you can still get them online. I got this from eBay for, I don't know, 50 or 60 bucks, I guess. It's a pretty nice little camera. It's it has an SD card on one side, and has the ability to be able to for HDMI and also USB input or output. Nice camera. My only complaint is that it's not a very wide field of view. It's not really it doesn't got much of a wide angle, and so I got to get it fairly close with what I mean, I've got to back up quite a ways from whenever I want to see if I want to get any kind of a wide angle. I hook it up to this thing here, which is a kind of like a GoPro chesty. It's a knockoff, and it just snaps right in here. It goes like that, which works great. I have no problem with it. You can angle it up or down. So that is my camera. That's how that works. That's what I'm taking all these videos with, except for the one you're seeing now, and that's on that one up there. So anyway, and the next thing I got is this big old guy. A lot of people ask me about this coil. This is a Coil Tech WOT, wild orange thing, or wonderful orange thing, whatever you like to call it. But it's 15 inches in diameter. It's a double D coil. For those of you who know, that's it actually puts out the signal comes out of here like a spade rather than a cone, which is kind of nice when you're covering a lot of territory. The coil itself has been modified somewhat. When I got it, I realized that these webs on the underside are hollow. It's like a channel. And when I had the coil cover on here, these were just filled up full of sand, and this thing got really, really heavy. So what I did, and this also was all one piece here. What I did is I had some lightweight epoxy filler, so like micro balloons. It's really super light epoxy, and I just filled all these channels up with that epoxy so that nothing can get in there, and it didn't really increase the weight, maybe a couple of grams at most. I also filled this in with epoxy, and these were closed before. I mean, there was actually a cap across the bottom like that. I routed that out. I didn't see any need for that web over the top of that thing, so I took it out. That clears the sand out of here pretty good. You might see or can realize I don't use a coil cover. I'm not recommending that you don't use a coil cover. Those of you who do, I'm sure you got good reasons for it. I try not to bang my coil into rocks and that kind of stuff. But this is the coil cover, and that's a big mother, and it's as light as it feels, and it feels light in your hands. It's over 4 ounces. Which is when you put that on the end of this stick and you're out there for 3 feet, that's a considerable amount of weight on the end of this thing. So I don't use it, but what I do is I'm just keeping my eye on this. I've had this thing for almost 2 years, so I keep my eye on the outside of it, make sure that if it starts to wear a lot, I'll just coat it with some epoxy to kind of keep it clean. I also thought what I might do, and this might work too, is just cut all this crap out of here and just keep the outside ring. I mean, all we're trying to do is just basically protect this from wear, and then just glue this thing on there. I mean, with some just the outside ring. Glue it on with some silicone so I can peel it back off again if I needed to. I think I might do that. That might be the best of all worlds. You can see that this matches what this used to look like. This didn't used to be open. This used to be closed, and this covered over the whole thing. And it gets sand and crap in there. It gets heavy. So I don't use it. And so far, knock wood, I haven't really felt any real need to have it. So that's the coil. And it's a good coil. I think it's probably a little more sensitive than the original coil, the one that came with it. The original coil is a 10-inch double D, and it's a darn good coil. I don't think that this gets that much more depth than the original coil, but what it does do is because it's 15 inches, it gets a much bigger footprint on the sand. It actually covers a lot more area for the same amount of time that I'm hunting, or that I'm swinging the coil. So I get a lot more coverage. I mean, a lot more coverage, and that's important. That's more important to me, really, basically, than just the depth. I really don't want to dig down much more than about 12-14 inches anyway. And this thing will get down to about 12-14 inches if in the right kind of sand, the right kind of conditions, with a big gold ring. It does get down there. This is not the original shaft that was with the that came with the detector. The detector is had an S-shaped shaft with all the equipment on it. I didn't like that. This is just a single shaft, single handle. A lot of you people out there know what this is. A lot of you chest mount this thing. I actually hip mount my detector, and it's remoted to a shaft, and then to this, and then down to this coil. I don't like the wire hanging off the end of the outside of the shaft, and so I just made a little passageway into the shaft at the bottom here, and I routed my wire through the shaft, and it goes up to about here, to where where they couple. The aluminum couples into the carbon fiber, and inside of here there's a little 4-pin connector. Waterproof connector that just slides together, and the connector's in here. So I can actually replace this part, take this off, and replace it with the other coil. So far, I have had this coil on for a couple of years. Or a little over a year or more, and I haven't seen any need to take it off. So it's on there for pretty good. You may have noticed that I told you about a handle reconfiguration. I broke a handle that I had on here. It was a handle that was made for replacement handle for another kind of a detector, and it broke, and so I bought these pieces to replace them. There's a little button here that actually is wired into my pinpointer, or wired into the pinpoint circuit of the detector. I'm probably losing you, but anyway, let me just cover the basics. When I broke the handle, I went down to Walmart and picked up these guys. These are handlebar extensions for a bicycle. It fits perfectly on the shaft, on the aluminum shaft. The problem with this is, and there's actually two of them come with the purchase on these things. The problem with this thing is that it's 90 degrees. The angle of my hand on this thing is very uncomfortable because I have to kind of hold it straight up, as you can see it when it's in the cuff. It isn't. It's just not right. It's good. It's a good solid feel, but it just isn't right. So this is not going to work. It has to be angled slightly that way. But the what you see inside of here is basically this thing that I cut off, and I had to modify the top of it here to accommodate my little switch, which is this little push button switch. Is a latching switch, and this turns off my pin. My pin goes from pinpoint mode to discriminate mode on my detector. But this is just straight up and down. It just isn't going to be comfortable. So I'm discarding this idea. I do like the handle grip. I like the grip a lot. It gives me a lot of support on the palm of my hand, and it just feels good. It's got a good solid ergonomic feel to it, and so I think I will incorporate that. But not this guy. We're not going to do him. What we are going to do instead is, I got this thing from Plugger, company that manufactures carbon fiber shafts, and this is the kit that he sent me. This is their handle kit, his handle kit. It's a long handle kit, and this is cool stuff, man. It's really nice. These fit onto his carbon fiber shafts, so they fit just perfectly on my shaft as well. This is the diameter of the shaft that I'm using, and it's just nice and smooth. It's going to go on there really nicely. And as you can see, this part goes onto here, and then you tighten up this little screw on the bottom, which expands a little wedge system that holds this thing nice and tight on the handle. Now that's very clever, because you can remove the handle if you wanted to. and then this goes like that. Now notice the angle difference here already. It's going to be really nice. The angle is just about perfect for my hand, and that's what I'm looking for. This is too long. I'm gonna have to cut it off, and I have to do some other things here too to make it so that I can fit this switch in here. Right now it's too small. It'll look kind of like this when it's done. In fact, it's going to look almost exactly like this when it's done. And I have a switch on the top. Kind of like that. So I can fit. Yeah? Cool, huh? And it's the right angle. I have to be able to figure out a way to get the wire from the inside of the shaft up to the switch. What I'll do is I'll just drill a little hole right here, and I'll just run a wire up along the outside of the handle. I'll put it underneath the rubber. So that's how that mod's going to go. Earphones. Earphones are just MSA noise limiting headphones. I think I got them at Granger's. It says they're called left rights, and they're sound muffling, and they're really nice headphones. They're lightweight. They fit to your head. The cuffs are really nice because they're not exactly straight around here. They do seem to fit my head really well. And these are very soft, very pliant, and I can replace these. They actually have replacement kits for these little earpieces, which is nice. So I have this. I got a second pair here because I intend to put the speakers from my original earphones from this Detector back in here. These were modified with other speakers, and what these are. Well, let's see. I guess I can show that. These are basically what this is. This is a piece of PVC, like an end cap on a piece of PVC. I think it's like 1 1/4 inch PVC end cap that I mounted the speaker inside and then covered the top of it with a piece of Gore-Tex to keep it waterproof. It's Gore-Tex cloth on the top, and then this is a piece of heat shrink that kind of closed everything together. It's all wired up. It's all got all epoxy potted in here to keep everything waterproof. And so these actually could go underwater. I don't know how far underwater they could go, but they can get pretty wet without destroying them, because this is impervious to water. As you might know about Gore-Tex, it's pretty good stuff. It actually passes some vapor, but it won't pass moisture, so things stay pretty dry in there. It's pretty cool. I've got the means to make another pair of these, like you saw, and these are the ear muffs, and these are, like I said, replaceable. So that is my earphones. Oh yeah, I might say that this little strain relief connector is a Heiko bushing, or it's from Heiko, and this is a cell phone charger cord. I think it's a Verizon cord. It's got 2 conductors in it, and it's the perfect cord for what I'm using it for. And this is an Excalibur machine, and I have another one on this side, and as you can see, it just screws into the end cap that's on here. There's a whole bunch of information on how to make this modification on this end. Old Beach Nut has some great videos. A few other guys have got them around, but they basically just either modify the existing one end cap and put a new one in here, or else they just buy a new end cap, and you can get them from Old Beach Nut. So that's that system, and I really like it. Okay, let's scoop. Second most important thing in a beach detectorist inventory, I think, and this is a good one. This is made by Stavr. It's Ukrainian. A lot of you people know about it. It's called a 2.2, an excavator 2.2. I have it mounted to this handle, and this is actually just a just a fiberglass rake handle from Home Depot, and it fit in there really well. I put these little shower non-skid strips on here to give it a little better grip, and when I put the handle into here, in order to keep it, this is pretty thin fiberglass, in order to keep it from collapsing whenever I put pressure on it here, I put a piece of hardwood doweling in here. It's about 10 inches of doweling on the inside that I epoxied into here to give it some strength and also to keep it from collapsing right there at that joint. And this white tape is just basically just for wear. I got that just so that it doesn't, when I put this on my hook, it balances just perfectly on the hook at that point. So I can always get my balance point right there, and I can walk around with this thing just sitting there balanced. And on the other end is a little lump on here, and that just hooks into the hook so that I can drag it and be able to lift it up with the handle and to clear the junk out of it occasionally. But and it also acts as a nice grip when I'm pulling the stuff out of the sand. It's a pretty good little system. I like it. It's getting kind of beat up here a little bit, but yeah, it's to be expected. I hunt in the rocks somewhat. I'll more than likely be replacing this guy one of these days, but it's a good scoop. I've got a little magnet from like a hard drive magnet that I picked up, and I have it set right in here. And you can see that there's a little magnet right down in there. And that is pretty important. What happens is that bobby pins and anything that's made out of iron can sometimes just fall through the holes in the scoop, and so I'm constantly trying to find them. That little magnet will kind of keep them there for me so I can pick them up. It doesn't pick up anything like gold or aluminum. Those things will fall through the holes, but anything made out of ferrous, anything ferrous made out of iron will stick to that little magnet, which is kind of cool. Anyway, that's the scoop. Yeah, that's the scoop. That's the scoop on the scoop. Little soft rubber handle. I don't know where I got it, but they're probably available out there somewhere. And it's light enough. It's not super light. It's lighter than it would be if it had a wooden handle, which is kind of nice. And of course, it's a little heavier now too. I actually had to have it repaired. It cracked right along this seam because I put a lot of pressure on it when I'm digging. It cracked, and I had a weld shop weld in a little piece of stainless steel right along the back of this thing on the inside. And you can see it right there, I think. Hope. So, and that's that actually gave it a lot more strength. Not a real pretty job, but it does the trick. Anyway, that's that. This is, I was telling you about my hook before. This is the hook that I used to put my scoop on. A lot of people use a stainless steel piece of rod. I kind of like this. It has a little more width and it balances my scoop balances on there a little bit better when it's hanging in there. And I made it all out of a piece of aluminum. All these mods are mine. I made all this stuff. So that's it. I use my pouch is just a standard calico bag, but I did modify it a little bit. I put some Velcro straps on the back of it so I can take it off and on without taking my belt off. So that's that. People have asked me about my sand shoes. They're not really sand shoes, man. They're just little cheapy. I think they're Taiwanese Tylos thermal wall booties. They look like. Let me see how is that going to look like. Yeah, it's going to be right. That's what it is right there. Tylos thermal wall booties. And they're just zipper on the side. Now, what happened is that somewhere along the line, after having them for a year or so, the zipper pull just kind of rotted away. It got bad. So I just I took a little fishing little swivel. I find lots of these on the beach. I just happen to have some of them, and I stuck that in the hole instead of the zipper pull, and it just works just dandy. So that's my booties. That about covers it for gear, man. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm going to go ahead and make this mod with this handle, and I'll give you a little bit of video as I go along. But it'll be all chopped up, I think. I'll probably just keep it running as I go along, as I take things apart, and then I'll go back when I edit it. I'll show you what I did, because some of that's kind of cool. So That's it.